we have Rubber Bee, Everest, and we have Zealande. The first thing to notice is that the Everest strap is marginally longer than the Rubber Bee on all sections. That may be the one to go for. That may be the out and out winner based on the size of your wrists. But if you've got little skinny wrists like I do, then the smaller, more delicate Rubber Bee and indeed the Zealande is, you know, is a good option. In fact, the Zealande is even shorter than the Rubber Bee. Although it balances out, because obviously that one there's a little bit longer and then the other one was a bit shorter. So the Zealande and Rubber Bee, without my tape measure, are probably pretty much identical. That means that when you're wearing your watch, and I can maybe try and edit in here a roll from another piece of footage that I did, memory to self, when you do that, you may see a bit less of this one and this one as you do with this, and that I think is a little advantage. Okay, another thing which I've noticed and is a clear winner for the Everest out of all of these is this piece here, as you can see, moves quite a bit, you know. So when you've put your strap on, you know, there's not very grippy there, which I have to say, considering the price point of this is the same as or similar to this, that's a little bit disappointing. The Zealande, it is cheaper, not by a huge amount than the other two, but it is cheaper, so you kind of, you know, expect some slippage there, given that it's a, you know, a cheaper product. Although having said cheaper, like I said, it's still $170 odd. These you're looking at in excess of $200, which is, you know, I have to say, a lot of money for a rubber strap. The Rubber Bee, that is not moving. Right, now when you look at the back of them, what you will notice is that the Everest is just quite smooth. It's just one flat piece there. It's not really sort of engineered as such, which is really quite similar to the Zealande strap. They're very single to almost identical in how they're produced. And as I say, the Everest is at least $60 more, and yet the back, you know, I know there's a lot more that goes into it than just how this looks, but it's just something that worth pointing out. Whereas the Rubber Bee, a much more sort of fitted look and feel about it. You know, that has a more fitted look about it. One interesting thing with Everest, the Rubber Bee, the Rubber Bee, the holes go straight through, although there's a slight angling inside, very slight. The Everest, on the face you have the regular holes there. Underside, they're angled a lot, which is quite an interesting you know, design. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is made in the factory that used to make the other two. They all have the same design for holding this grippy whatever this grippy thing here is called. I will say on this one, when I was wearing it, it did once somehow, it will slip off. It can slip off. So again, the design tolerances on that are maybe not as good. That one can slip off as well, although it's not in practice, it hasn't, but the Everest can slip off. I will say the Rubber Bee can also slip off, but it's it will slip, but it is more grippy. It's more difficult to slip it off. I will say I've only recently got into changing straps, so I'm only really going on you know, what I can see and feel, and how things, you know, appear to me as I'm using them, you know, trying them for the first time, etc, etc. So this isn't really an in-depth review as such. Comfort wise, they're all very comfortable. I'll try and put in a few pieces of footage that I've taken from other videos into this space. So I'll try and put in a small piece of rubber B fitted to the watch. I'll add in a small piece of Everest footage, and I'll add in a small piece of Zealande footage. But I have another one like this one, which is Everest, but it's a camouflage version. And if you want a rubber strap on your watch, like I said, any one of these three is excellent. If you've got King Kong gorilla arms, then you know the Everest is the way to go. If you're on a budget and you're starting out and you want to try something budget wise, and it's still $170, it's not really exactly a budget, then obviously you've got the Zealande. And obviously if you want the premium version, then I would say the rubber B is the way to go. You may also go by color. You can see that first of all, Zealande, they do solid colors only, so no mixed colors with Zealande at the moment. You can see that Everest do a one line stripe, and that seems to be their calling card. That seems to be the way that, you know, that rubber B have gone, with a single line stripe there, and not starting at the top, but you know, some way down. Everest have taken a slightly different approach of mix, you know, with the stripe color going all the way to the top, and a thicker line. So that also differentiates between the, you know, the two main brands, the Everest and the rubber B. I think just given the tighter design of the rubber B is probably the one that I would go over Everest. And if I was looking for something a little bit cheaper, then I would go with the Zealande. The Everest might very well be a more well-made strap than the Zealande, but I don't think it's so more well-made, given that these bits back here are virtually identical. It's probably a little bit thicker, so it may last a bit longer. But like I said, given the saving, yeah, I would be looking at the Zealande myself, I think, over the Everest. And also, as I said, I think to me it's just a little bit disappointing with Everest that this thing here just slips so much. It's just, you know, if you're paying as much as rubber B, that should not be slipping. As I say, as a first time looker at these, and I've only had these for a few weeks, the rubber B just, I don't know, to me it does just stand out from the other two. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this has been informative. Like I said, this was filmed in Dartmoor in my tent. Well, actually it's a tarp. You can see outside of Dartmoor there. That's my tarp there. That's my sleeping area. It's a bit of a mess. Ask a question in a comment, please like, subscribe, and yeah, and I'll try and do some more video on these straps and maybe fitting them. So that's Lassie, my furry dog. There's a river stream just down there. So she's spent the last 10 minutes playing in there. Alright, well, like I said, please like, subscribe, share,